Breaking news, or is it broken news? J.J. Redick has agreed to become the next head coach to be fired. Yes, the next head coach to be fired for the Lakers. J.J. Redick. What do you think about this? Check it out. 10 coaches in 21 seasons. Is he next to be fired? How long will he last? Place a bet. How long? Every head coach LeBron James has had in the NBA, from Paul Silas to J.J. Redick. Let's begin. For the 10th time in his 21-season NBA career, LeBron James has a new head coach. The Los Angeles Lakers reportedly hired former NBA player J.J. Redick on a 4-year contract on Thursday. Bringing in a rookie coach to manage a team with clear championship aspiration that has fallen well short of his goals since 2020 title. Much of those aspirations are attributable to James. And while James has a player option for 2024 and 2025, it would be a surprise if he doesn't stay in LA to play for his podcast co-host, J.J. Redick. With James comes expectation. With expectation comes pressures. And with pressure comes consequences if you fail to meet expectation. For much of James' career, that has led to fairly regular movement through a parade of head coaches. Some of those coaches never got a head coaching job again, while 3 of them are now among the league's highest paid coaches. Here are all 10 hirings and endings that James has experienced with Lakers, Cleveland Cavaliers, and Miami Heat. We'll start with Paul Silas, 2003-2005. His previous job, he was the head coach for the New Orleans Hornets. How it started. After selecting James with the number 1 overall pick in the 2003 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers tapped Paul Silas to be the teenager's first head coach and mentor. Silas was now available after he was surprisingly fired by the Hornets, despite leading them to the playoffs for 4 straight seasons. Silas was known to be more old school coach, which might have been what James needed, given that his teammates that year were famously hostile to the idea of a 19-year-old walking in and immediately becoming more famous than them. The coach banned James's entourage from the practices and helped him win the 2004 NBA Rookie of the Year award. Where did it go wrong? The Cavs grew frustrated with the post-All-Star break slump in which James's sophomore year, and they opted to cut loose Paul Silas, despite holding a playoff spot at the time at 34-30. The decision wasn't really a surprise to James, given the vibe of the clubhouse, with the general manager at the time, Jim Paxson, saying James' drift from being a passer to shooter had hurt the team. Long-term assistant coach Brandon Malone was named the interim coach, and Cleveland finished 8-10 and in the 9th place and out of the playoff. Rest in peace, Paul Silas. He died in 2022. That was LeBron's first coach, Paul Silas. Stay tuned for more coaches that LeBron has either dismissed or found a new way. Hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more coaches. Abba! The question continues. Will J.J. Redick be the next one to be fired as the Lakers' next head coach? Well, let's see how long he lasts. Now, let's take a look at LeBron's second coach, Mike Brown. The next head coach is Mike Brown, 2005 to 2010. His previous job, Indiana Pacers assistant coach. How it started. Mike Brown was brought in from relative anonymity and given one priority: get LeBron James into the playoffs. In that, he was successful. The Cavaliers made the playoffs in all 5 seasons with Brown at the helm, reaching the NBA Finals in 2007, where they got swept by the San Antonio Spurs, and winning 60-plus games in 2008-2009 season and 2009-2010 seasons. James ascended to superstardom in the span of that time, but the fans were increasingly left to wonder if the team could provide him any help. Where did it go wrong? It's funny to think that despite James's reputation as a coach killer, he really only had 2 coaches in his first 7 seasons with the Cavaliers. That's it. However, James was often critical of Brown in their later years together, and team owner Dan Gilbert cut ties with Brown with the hopes of re-signing LeBron James rather than answer the call to South Beach. Gilbert actually ended up rehiring Brown 3 years later after his stint with the Lakers, calling the decision to fire him a mistake. Gilbert fired Brown again after 1 season. Brown went on to join the Sacramento Kings, where he recently signed a big extension. Next, Erik Spoelstra coached LeBron for 4 years. Yes, Erik Spoelstra coached LeBron for 4 years in Miami. His previous job, he was Miami Heat assistant coach. How it started. Spoelstra is a fun case in that James wanted him fired at the beginning of their tenure together, rather than at the end. Right from the beginning, James wanted him gone. After 15 games with the Heat, and their record was 9-8, James asked team president Pat Riley if he was interested in coaching again. After being visibly frustrated with the inexperienced Spoelstra, Riley held firm and kept Spoelstra as head coach. The reward was 4 straight NBA Finals trips and 2 championships, making Spoelstra the only coach to win multiple championships with James. Some will wonder why they didn't win more, especially with prime Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh also on board. Why? Why didn't they win more? Where it went wrong? James decided to leave after failing to the Spurs in the 2014 NBA Finals, opted to reunite with a rebuilt Cavaliers organization. However, he has since spoken glowingly of Spoelstra, who remains in Miami till today and has guided the team to 2 more finals appearances. Spoelstra figures to be there much longer after signing an 8-year, $120 million extension. And this is the man LeBron wanted fired in the beginning. Arguably the most successful coach the Miami Heat has had since Pat Riley. Next is Dave Blatt, 2014 to 2016. His previous job, Maccabi Tel Aviv head coach in Israel. How it all started. The Cavaliers went outside the box hiring Blatt, a coach who was well regarded in Europe with zero NBA experience as a player or coach. A few weeks later, James announced he was returning to Cleveland, and Blatt's friends were calling him the luckiest man in the world. Or is it? At best, you could say it was an interesting fit, with a coach bringing unorthodox coaching methods and strategies to a team with James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love. Oh my goodness, that's a superstar team as it is. However, James was reportedly surprised by the hire and that the team didn't wait for him to give an input. Where did it go wrong? It's hard to say where it really started, where it went right to begin with. Blatt was a rookie on a team of veterans with offensive system that really didn't match the individual's talents. It's weird to call a 53-29 season with a trip to the NBA Finals a disappointment, especially when they might have beaten Golden State Warriors with a healthy Irving, Love. But that's how it felt. There's no shortage of anecdotes, but James and Blatt were not gelling. The inevitable came to pass midway through year number 2 when the Cavaliers fired Blatt, who never coached in the NBA again. And they hired Tyronn Lue, 2016 to 2018. His previous coaching job, assistant coach for the Cavaliers. How it started. Tyronn Lue opted to join the Cavaliers as an assistant coach under Blatt, despite having interviewed for top jobs and spent some time as an assistant getting close to James. Obviously paid off for him. James got what he wanted with Lue's promotion, and he paid off in historical fashion. Lue led the Cavaliers to their now legendary 2016 NBA Finals win, with 2 more trips to the finals in the cards. Though no more wins thanks to the Warriors' own addition of Kevin Durant to counter the LeBron James effect. Where did it go wrong? Despite their success in the East, the Cavaliers were a study in decay after their 2016 title. Love got older and struggled with injuries. Irving hit the eject button because he wanted to be less of a Robin to LeBron James Batman. And who can forget J.R. Smith did the most J.R. Smith of all time. Once again, James opted to leave town after losing in the finals. The Cavaliers kept Lue, but opted to fire him after an 0-6 start the next season. He later became a candidate for the Lakers job, which would have been a reunion with James, but contract negotiations went sour and he became the Clippers head coach instead. He doesn't have a ring in LA, but he does have a big contract. But he does have big contracts and a 12-3 record against the Lakers. Next up was Luke Walton, 2018 to 2019. His previous job, Golden State Warriors assistant coach. How it started. Like Spoelstra, Walton was an unproven incumbent who had James show up unexpectedly and changed everything. Much was made about how James would work alongside the Lakers' young core of Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma. James praised the teammates and really seemed like he wanted to be part of a rising franchise rather than immediately assemble a collection of older stars. But we all know what happened. Where did it go wrong? After a disastrous season in which the Lakers went 37-45 with James fighting injuries and his new teammates struggling to find fit around him, Lakers parted ways with Walton and traded almost everything
that wasn't nailed down for Anthony Davis. I'm talking about everything. They was trading them all. Frank Vogel showed up 2019, 2022. His previous job, he was the Orlando Magic head coach. How it started, the Lakers clearly needed an adult in charge once they were all in on the James Davis duo. And they found out in Vogel, who consistently led the Indiana Pacers to playoffs back in the day. They struggled to find his footing in Orlando Magic. Vogel's defensive scheme worked wonders in Los Angeles. However, playing James at point guard gave the Lakers a significant size advantage. And more importantly, an identity. The rebounding and defensive almost looked easy, while James' playmaking was all-time, needed in the 2020 finals in Disney World bubble, which has been known as the Bubble Championship. But we all remember there was no fans in the audience, and so it was a neutral site everywhere. But where did it go wrong? It would be unfair to say it was Russell Westbrook. But that being said, in hindsight, 2020, the Lakers clearly panicked after an injury-plagued 42-30 season, and they paid a star's worth of assets to acquire Westbrook, enormous contract. Westbrook proved, even though to be a great player, proved to be an awful fit alongside James and clashed with Vogel to the point the coach was reportedly fired for his inability to make Westbrook fit properly after a 33-49 season. Keep in mind that from the ownership to the general manager to the head coach to the superstars to everything you can imagine, Vogel played the smallest part in trading for Westbrook. This was all orchestrated by LeBron James and his agencies. Darvin Ham was next. That didn't last long in Los Angeles. Darvin Ham, 2022 to 2024. Previous head coach, previous job, Milwaukee Bucks assistant coach. How it started. Why didn't he have NBA coaching experience? While he didn't have NBA coaching experience, Ham was well respected from the time as an assistant coach with the Bucks, especially after winning the championship in 2021. Ham began his Laker tenure by doing what Vogel was never able to do, moving Westbrook to the bench. Unfortunately, that didn't help the Lakers avoid a 2-10 start in Ham's rookie year. They righted the ship enough to finish 42-39, and then trading Westbrook mid-through season, and they reached the Western Conference Finals, but ended up getting swept by the Denver Nuggets. That will become a repetitive theme, swept by the Nuggets. Where did it go wrong? Well, after winning 43 games and sneaking into the playoffs and winning the play-in, sneaking into the playoffs, and mind you, they won the in-season tournament, becoming the first team to win the in-season play-in tournament. The Lakers won just 47 games and snuck into the playoffs via the play-in tournament. Then they got blown out by the Nuggets. Another blowout. And subsequently, Darvin Ham was fired, made a scapegoat. Firing Ham was an easy button to push as the team continued to look stagnant despite featuring two of the best players in the world. And I say two of the best players in the world. Lakers fans certainly took issue with some of Ham's decision-making as they did with his predecessors. So now we move on to J.J. Redick. 2024 to question mark. How long will he be there? His previous job, podcaster. Y'all, I got a chance to be the next head coach of J.J. Redick, a fellow podcaster. How it started? Well, The Lakers have so far hired veteran head coach, a rising assistant head coach to manage James. In Redick, they are going the third route with James's podcast co-host. Yes, I said it. This is LeBron James' podcast co-host. It feels beyond the parody at this point in Los Angeles to think that the best man to manage his bench is the guy who sits across the microphone from his best player. Especially when Redick, quite publicly, wasn't the team's first choice. What is going on in Los Angeles? This is supposed to be one of the most prestigious organizations. It has become a mockery. A mockery. But let's see how long this lasts. Hit the like button, subscribe. This is Real Talk with Kingsley.
For your foot.